Thanks so much for sticking around. We are discussing headlines in a segment of the show I like to call Know This Is Real. In studio with me again this week, my friend Paul Bass. And, you know, I felt like here's the deal. So you were already scheduled to come in again this week to do headlines with me. But after last week, I felt like I really had to have you back because I'm not sure I gave you the best headlines.
Wow.
You know, first time out of the shoot, I could have given you, you know, I was thinking about the whole TSA thing and discussing it even,
Yeah.
you know, and there's some, you know, the crew didn't like that headline.
I'm thinking about like somebody grew an extra arm, you know, things like
You want to
really
talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I thought, you know what, I can do better and I will do better.
Uh-oh.
So are you ready?
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
I don't know. You're going to give it to me anyways.
Here we go. Ready or not. So we're
Okay.
going to talk food here.
All right.
Okay. Do you have any food allergies, Paul?
No, except for maybe like the Peruvian beetle.
Okay,
Like,
you couldn't eat that.
Yeah, no.
So that would make
I would
you
stay
sick.
away from it.
See, and you know, most of the population probably would share that, but there are a lot of people who are allergic to nuts.
Oh, yeah.
And in particular, peanuts. A lot of children allergic to peanuts,
Yes.
right? And so here's what's happening in Arkansas, a little town called Viola, Arkansas.
Okay.
Little boy goes to school, and in his lunch bag, he's got a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, takes it out to eat it. Teacher is present, says, I don't think so. Takes away said sandwich, throws it away, and
Wow.
gives the boy another sandwich, something to have for lunch, then sends him home with a note to his mom. Your kid cannot bring peanut butter and jelly to this school ever again.
Yeah.
Well, mom is not happy because not only does he love peanut butter, but it's cost effective when you're talking about
That's
making
right.
a lunch, right?
Right.
But here's the deal. The school has banned all peanut products. Kids cannot bring them in because there are children at the school
Right.
who have severe allergies. This is real. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. The story here is it the school or is it the kid? Because, you know, did she have like an extra sandwich waiting for him? Apparently she had something made up.
Something.
You know,
Maybe
or
waiting
did
for
she
the kid who
grab
was
it from
gonna-
another kid and say, here, eat this? But that is mean because peanut butter and jelly, I don't think there's a man, woman, or child alive who does not enjoy a good peanut butter and jelly
And even
sandwich.
if you're allergic, you want to enjoy it.
That's
you
right.
wish you could.
Right.
So, but no, this school has a no peanut product policy.
Yes.
And so it's dividing parents. And so my question is, do you say, well, since one kid is allergic,
Right.
no one can have it? Or do you say, well, the kids who have these allergies, you eat in this schoolroom?
Okay.
What, you know?
It's political correctness with peanut butter is what it is. It's telling them, okay, exactly what you said.
Yeah.
You know, because this child. But, I mean, there is a concern, like, if that child, some of them, the peanut allergy is so
Severe.
intense
Yeah, yeah.
that if they're sitting next to somebody, I don't know how that happens, but if they're sitting next to somebody, somehow it makes them break out. So,
Right.
you know, there are other tables.
Right.
You know,
Out
shift
of
them over.
consideration, yeah.
Instead of, you know, egalitarianism
Yeah.
in your lunchroom.
Yeah, exactly right. And so, you know, the mom had some issues because, and I identify with this mom, she's saying, listen, it's cost effective
Yeah.
for me to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Peanut butter, a little bit of it goes a long way. Then there are other moms who are saying, well, if your kid suffered like my kid suffered, you'd want the same courtesy. You'd want, because I've read reports of kids in a school setting touching the keyboards of computers where a kid has had like peanuts or something and then having a reaction from that, you know?
Wow.
So I don't know, but parents are divided. Real headline, peanuts and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches banned at a school.
Wow.
Banned. When,
Yeah.
when you start an attack on peanut butter and jelly,
It's
kinda hitting below the
would have-
belt.
First of all, you would have destroyed the Bass vacation.
right, exactly
If you
right.
made us not have peanut butter and jelly.
Right.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do? When we're riding down the interstate, what are we going to snack on?
That is our breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Well, there you go. And for most families and most kids would eat it all day if they could.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking
All right.
of laws and banning, okay, from one extreme to another, this is real. True story. The story is out of Cranston, Rhode Island. Are you ready for this? There was a move by the school department in Cranston, Rhode Island to do away with all father-daughter, mother-son dances. Here's why. There was a complaint from one mom who said her daughter was unable to attend this event because there was no father present.
Okay.
So she says that her daughter was discriminated against. And even though there is a federal law that says you can't discriminate, based on gender, it allows for those kinds of father-daughter, dances.
Right.
That is not on the books in Rhode Island. So the school has canceled all father-son or father-daughter, mother-son events.
Okay.
This is real.
Wow. Okay. We have a theme going on here.
Yeah, we do.
With schools.
What's going on?
And egalitarianism.
Yeah.
The school communists basically are saying, okay, because she doesn't have a father present, which is sad.
Right.
It would be great if there was a person in her church that could step up, that could take her. How special would that be?
Exactly right.
For me, now I could see somebody banning me from a father-daughter dance, because if you've seen me dance,
Which actually our family has. We have seen you dance.
So you could agree.
I could see. I could see there being a law on the books, Paul, that your daughters can go, but you just watch from the window.
Paul must go, and if there is some other person that they could substitute for a father in that case, please do.
Exactly right.
But that is sad. Why
sad?
not let the girl have a great experience rather than saying, okay, no fathers and daughters get to.
Yeah. You know what I was concerned? I discussed this, talking about this story with my mom, and my mom said the same thing. You said, why was there no one like an uncle or somebody to step up and help with this? But then I almost felt like it was a little bit of an attack on the family. Just a little bit. Because when you think of those who are attending these kinds of dances, it's going to be that family that kind of, mom and daddy wanting to do something that's going to leave a lasting impression, taking his daughter out on a date. But anyway, that's the decision they made. And as of right now, it stands. So parents are kind of causing a stink and want to have that overturned.
And if these people get their way further on down the line, nobody can have a father-daughter dance at a wedding because,
Because what if there are people watching who don't have their father there? Yeah. And then at the wedding, no peanut butter.
No peanut butter
at the wedding. Okay,
I'm for that.
This is my favorite story.
Okay.
Paul, this is just amazing. Carson City, Nevada. Okay?
Oh, love it. Love Carson City.
Okay, here you go. Carson City, Nevada. It starts out sad, but it gets better. Okay. 69-year-old recluse died in his home. Okay. His body was found a month later because he had no family, no close friends, and his neighbors just described him as a quiet gentleman. He dies with only $200 in his bank account. They find him dead in his house a month later. The city takes over the house. There's no will, there's nothing. He's only got $200 in the bank. So the city is going in to clean out the house, and make it ready. I guess they're gonna sell it or whatever, do with the land. And in the course of that, Paul, they uncover these gold bricks.
Oh, man.
And these gold coins. And so much that they begin to bring in wheelbarrows. This man, 69-year-old man who dies, a recluse, found 1 month later in his house, $7 million of gold coins and gold bars.
Wow.
Yes. And it gets better.
Okay.
Because he had no next of kin. They contact the first person closest to him, which is like a first cousin in California, who is a school teacher, and she is now $7 million richer.
You're still going with the school theme, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. There you go. She probably was eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich when she got the news.
And she was like, it would be okay if you take me to the father-daughter dance.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right.
But so none of this was stolen? Like, who has gold bars in their house?
This man.
Like the guy who robbed the bank.
Right.
Like,
maybe he didn't trust our nation's economy and wanted to protect his interest, and no one was ever the wiser.
Wow.
Yeah?
I'm pretty much going to check my genealogy right now.
Just to see
Yes,
if you're next to kin.
He's got to be related to a bass.
I hope that these stories were better.
Yes, they were definitely better.
Because they're real.
And that is hard to believe right there.
Yes. Paul Bass, thanks so much for helping me make sense of some of these headlines. And I remind you, no, they are quite real. Coming up, I've got to tell you about a book that I have recently read. And of course, I've got to give you my commentary. I want to tell you about a book I recently read. And I had some concerns about, and I guess just You know, there are times that you read things and you're not going to love everything that you read, but it's worth having the conversation or maybe even passing it on to get someone else thinking. And this book is called The Resignation of Eve. What if Adam's rib is no longer willing to be the church's backbone? Written by a man named Jim Henderson. Now, what drew me to this book was that it was published by the Barna Group. And so it also contains information compiled by George Barna himself. In this book, there are some startling statistics in discussing the amount of work that women do in the church and the amount of women, the percentages of women who feel undervalued or who feel that within the walls of the church, they are unable to live out their high calling or walk in their gifts because churches are historically male-dominated. So I had some concerns. and I have to tell you that as you read the book, you'll notice if you choose to read the book, it's worth the read. It's driven by a lot of anecdotal stories. There are stories of women from across the country who have shared their experiences in church. And some women have very positive things to say about the church and others not so much. But here is what Jim Henderson does. He says that within the church, there are three categories of women. Three categories of women, and I'm going to give those to you. He says that there are women who are resigned to. And so these women have chosen to accept their church's stance on women and what they are and are not able to do within the context of the church. Then there are women who are resigned from. And those are women who just kind of step back, leaving the church, maybe leaving the faith, and in some cases in the book, actually turning their back on God. And then the final category, there are women who are re-signed. That means they attend church on their own terms, and if they feel like they are called to do something that their church does not allow, they simply find quiet ways to do it anyway. So I had some issues, and I have to tell you, you know, I don't like to have issues with books, but my concern is that Mr. Henderson doesn't do enough to defend the Word of God and to support a lot of what churches adhere to as far as women's roles. And I feel like sometimes it's unfair to compare what the world allows women to do with what the church allows women to do because there's a different standard that's governing us. Finally, I really feel like when you read something like this, you've got to read it with the Holy Spirit so that you can divide the truth and know what's fable and know what's fact. But it's worth the read. It's worth having a conversation with a good gal pal of yours, especially someone who feels called to ministry, because the Bible does not prevent a woman from operating in a ministerial capacity, but there are limitations that are God-given that I think women should accept. So that's my little take on The Resignation of Eve. Pick it up, maybe do a little group discussion with it. Certainly you'll find yourself on one side or the other. When we come back, we're going to discuss end times prophecy. Make sure you don't miss that. Do you feel like this is the generation that's going to see that happen? You know,
I'm absolutely convinced on it, and I have the words of Jesus to back that up. But as Christians, we need to live every day growing in our faith, just as if we're going to go through it all.
Yeah.
But by faith, let's believe that the Scriptures teach that the Lord will come for us, and it will be a blessed hope.